All right, lads and lasses, and good day, mates. Welcome to the Toon Under podcast. We are Queensland's, Australia's. Oh, I've done that wrong. Straight away, I've done that wrong. Queensland's. No, I've done it right. Queensland, Australia's, the world's great Newcastle podcast. In my head, that's not a lot better. I was trying to rip off the old Bundy advert there, which Timmy will probably recognize. Got it right, stuffed it up anyway. That's just me for you. There you go. We are going to be talking about the Blackburn 5th round FA Cup game. Oh, Jesus. I tell you what, this was a 5:45 kickoff in Queensland where I am. Demi's joining me here. It was a 6:45 kickoff for you, mate. I know that you were watching this at work. We'll come on that in just a minute. I just normally we go through the whole thing linearly. We'll go about all the goals, all the action, all that kind of stuff. But this was such a mad game that if we start talking about all the individual efforts and all the individual moments and saves and goals and all kind of thing, we will literally be here till the next FA Cup round, which Newcastle's in, by the way. Newcastle did win in the end, eventually, 4-3 on penalties. It was 1-1 at full time. We went to extra time. It could have went either way in that extra time as well. I mean, it was just back and forwards. It was a crazy, crazy game. I actually think this probably was one of those classic FA Cup games. If you're not a fan of either, or even if you're a fan of Rovers, but not necessarily Newcastle, because it was bloody horrendous for us. But, looking back on it, retrospectively, it had so much drama. There were so many opportunities. There were so many incredible saves. It goes to extra time. It could have been won by either team. It goes to penalties. They start off kind of like, all right, Newcastle's going to win this. We'll just save one, and then we'll bugger it up straight away right afterwards. And it's like, oh, is this going to go till the end? It was one of those kind of Newcastle games where you're thinking, I don't know, man. This could literally just pivot on a pin tip. This could go either way. It was a cracking game. Demi, how did you? Looking back on it now, we've had all day to think about this, and I know you were jumping around in the office, and everyone's giving you weird looks, which is, to be honest, not that unusual, frankly, for your normal day. How do you look back on that game now that you've had a chance to think about it?
I look back on it to think, thank goodness we won, because I would have been I was in a rough mood anyway watching the game.
You were steaming.
Oh, I was in a rough mood, and then as the penalties were going in or out, in some cases, I was making these random noises in my office, and staff were looking around thinking, what on earth is this bloke doing? Is he not working? Clearly, no, he's not working. But secondly, what are these noises coming out of his mouth? I don't know how I could have functioned today, to be fair, if we got knocked out, and it probably would have ruined the rest of the season for Newcastle. Definitely would have ruined out the rest of our season. It would have been. I don't actually want to think what reaction would have been in Newcastle in terms of Eddie Howe and how the owners and how the supporters would have reacted. But I mean, the main thing is we got through, obviously, and that's great. We're in the hat for the quarterfinals, and we're one game again from Wembley, which is fantastic. But yeah, the pain and suffering and stress that we had to go through at 5:45 your time, 6:45 my time, till about 9:45, 10 a.m. my time is definitely not what is needed on a Wednesday morning.
Oh, that's it. It's only halfway through the bloody week, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, all right, that's the stress over. Time for the weekend. Oh no, wait a minute. There's still, the rest of the week to get through. Yeah. There was one point when you were in the chat, you were just full on caps, screaming.
Yeah, lost it.
What were you screaming about, mate? Can you remember?
Yeah, it was. I think it was late in the 90. Good old Dan Burn, for whatever reason, instead of stepping up to try and play offside, he stepped about 2 or 3 meters backwards and played their striker onside, who proceeded to have a one-on-one, which Dubravka made another great save. We'll talk about him a bit later.
It was Sammy.
And I was just, at that point, I was ready to abuse anybody, and it just so happened to be Dan Burn. And yeah, my only way to get my anger out is all caps and abuse and say some not nice things about the man. But look, I was in a phase there, and during football and during most sport, really. I get into this red zone where what I say or think sometimes can't be controlled. And yeah, that was one of the moments.
Mate, this is why we love you. You are constantly on that fence of yours that must be about 3 miles wide by now. No, it was great. I mean, the much maligned Dan Burn, it doesn't take a lot to get fired up about that guy sometimes at the minute. I don't think he had a terrible game, to be honest with you.
Nah.
Look, we're going to talk about the game. I thought maybe to start with, I just wanted to give some props to Blackburn. I know this is a Newcastle podcast, obviously. That's why we're here. We're going to talk about Newcastle. But I thought they played a really, really good game. I mean, there was some stats at half time where 50-odd% of their attacking threat was down Dan Burn's side, which is not that much of a surprise at the minute. But it was good to see that, from their perspective anyway, that they'd done their homework. They knew exactly where to attack us. They knew where the weak link was. They crowded out the midfield. At times, there was like 5 in the middle, and we had 2 or 3, and we didn't know what the hell to do with it. They were tracking back. They were defending really strongly. I mean, pair and goal was just amazing, And if it hadn't been for the fact that Dubravka was a shade better in the very end, he would be everyone's man in the match. I think he was absolutely fantastic. Smolic, a constant threat. I just thought it's easy to sit here after a victory and then kind of, golf clap the opposition, but I don't want this to come across like that. I actually think Blackburn played a very, very clever, very, very effective game against us. Do you think they look? We're the Premier League team. I mean, they're our champion. They're 4 points clear of the relegation zone in the Championship, and I know FA Cups, any kind of cup competition, is often used as a catalyst. It's one of those things where, and this is why we love the FA Cup in particular. It's because any team from any level can take on another team from any other level, and it's one of those rare things in the world where you're not kind of cuddled into these kind of artificial groups. You basically, you can play anybody. The lowest can play the highest at any given point, assuming that that's how it comes out of the bag. And we're struggling as well in the league. We're down to 10th now. We're not doing very good either. So the cup was important to us for probably similar reasons as it was to Blackburn in the end. It was something to kind of gear up your season. Blackburn are very close to going down at the minute in the relegation zone. They needed the boost. I think, even though they lost on the very last kick of the penalties, I think they should take a lot of confidence from this performance. They, at times, man, they could have scored 6 or 7. Like it was, and we could have done as well. It was one of those kind of weird, kind of crazy games where the keepers were the difference. Do you want to sort of chip in there and say, you know what, well done, Blackburn? Because I think they played a terrific part in what it was a very tight competition at times.
Yeah, I think they were comfortably the better side, to be honest, for the first 90 minutes until extra time. I never felt during the entire game, really, that we had any sort of control and we looked remotely dangerous. And it felt like every time they attacked, maybe it was because they had a bit more space than we did when we attacked, but every time they attacked, they were either getting in the box and having a good shot on goal, or there was an opportunity to create that shot on goal. And it just felt like it really felt like Newcastle back in the day, where we couldn't defend anybody. It doesn't matter what division you're in, we can't defend anybody. We're going to give up chances. And unless our goalkeeper has a fantastic game, and we've seen it in the past with Newcastle, Shay Given days, the Tim Krul game at Tottenham, we've seen it with many keepers at Newcastle. When Newcastle were rubbish for so long, it was generally the goalkeeper who'd save our bacon. It wasn't our defence. And we'd sort of hold one hand over one eye defending every single game. And Blackburn, their tactics were spot on. They crowded us out in the midfield. We lacked real ball speed, and it made it very easy for them to defend us. We weren't getting in behind them. Isaac barely had a touch. Gordon looked a bit off it. He got a little bit into the game, obviously, in the second half when Miggy came on, but we just looked a little bit out of sorts. And I think the fact that Rovers aren't in great form in the league, they've just got a new manager as well. So they're probably trying to impress him. They felt like the team who played with the shackles off more so than we did, and we thought this was going to be an opportunity for us to obviously progress, get some form, some confidence, and move forward in the league. But we felt like the team who were scared and unsure of ourselves, and they looked like the team. They had a clear plan. They knew exactly how to stop us, and at least for the first 70 minutes, we never looked like troubling them until probably they got a bit tired and the game started to open up.
I mean, that's probably right as well. I mean, they probably felt that there was nothing to lose in this game. You know, it's kind of one of those free hits that they say. You know, they can give it everything they want, nothing to lose. If they lose against a Premier League team, everyone will just shrug and go, well, you know, that was expected.
Yeah.
If they win, they go, well, fantastic. Us, on the other hand, we had to win this because our season is rapidly dissolving in front of our faces, like a terrible stink in a lift. It's just basically, it's just getting worse as the weeks go on. We went from 7th, we're down to 10th. Who knows where we're going to go next? We've got Wolves next. They're not going to be easy. And I think, I think we're pretty nervous. So yeah, all the props to Blackburn there. I think they did very well. I don't want to sound conceited here. This is genuinely, I actually do think that they played a very, very good game there. And best of luck to them for the rest of the season. But mate, this game was, in my opinion, a game of the two keepers. The Dubravka, who, according to Eddie Howe, wasn't even 100%. Like he actually said he was nowhere near 100% for Arsenal, which is why Karius stepped in there, I guess. But he said he still wasn't 100%. Jesus Christ, mate! If he's not 100%, then like if we ever get him to 100%, he'll be absolutely unbeatable. He's not a sweeper keeper. We know that. We know he's not a sweeper keeper, and our defense in the Premier League suffers because of it. But he is a very good shot stopper. He does at times palm the ball into other people's feet. I am not going to go down that road again. But I think today he was imperious. It was like I said before we came on here, it was a bit like his first game against Man United, his debut, where eventually they did get past him, but it just felt like he was going to stop everything in front of him. He was terrific, and a tip of the hat to Pear, by the way, because he was equally as brilliant as well.
Yeah, well, Dubravka, to be honest, without especially his first half performance, the tie would have been over. If they'd gone 1-2 up at half time, I thought there'd be no way back for us. Their crowd would have been up and the pressure would have built, and I just would never have seen a way back in the game for us. So all credit to him, because he's obviously struggled a little bit with that sweeper keeper, and he's made some big mistakes of late. As of late, that Solanke mistake against Bournemouth when he slipped over in front of the goals, to name one.
Yeah.
But his shot stopping for me has obviously never been in question. He's always been a very good shot stopper, and we've seen before the Eddie Howe era, when we were rubbish and just trying to stay in the division, a lot of the time he was our best player week in, week out, because we were getting battered and he would have to pull off save after save. And he'd usually be in the top 3 or 4 goalkeepers in the league in saves, in shot saves. So that's never been in question for me, his ability to be a shot stopper. And boy, we needed him this morning, because, yeah, as I said, our defending was once again woeful. And once again, our midfield was non-existent. It was just an absolute carbon copy of the last 2 months, where there's a red carpet as soon as the ball goes past our forward line. There's a red carpet to the centre backs, and they're just retreating as quickly as they can without putting pressure on, because they know if they go forward, Dubravka's not going to cover them, so they've got to keep going back, inviting the pressure. And it's just a shambles at the moment. So look, Dubravka was superb, and their goalkeeper as well. I mean, he made, I think, three saves in extra time were superb. And we probably should have finished the game in extra time with the chances we had, but he was fantastic. And it looked like in the penalty shootout, it was going to be the battle of the goalkeepers, and whoever didn't keep their medal was going to lose. And luckily for us, Dubravka pulled off one extra save than their bloke did, and we got through. But yeah, both goalkeepers were superb, and Dubravka as well. His shot stopping was fantastic this morning.
I think I heard that Pear was on just returned as well from injury or some sort, but he It looked amazing. That one in extra time that you mentioned, I think that was the one where Gordon. It was a pretty poor ball from Bruno, if I remember rightly,
Yep.
to try and meet
Correct.
someone on the wing, Miggy maybe. I'm not
Tino.
sure. I can't remember. Tino. And it gets cut out, but it's just like really badly cut out, and it's like one of those very tired, stick your foot in, just hope for the best. And it falls to Gordon, who has that sweeping shot. It's blocked by Pear, and then you've got Longy waiting to tap it in, and he bloody kicks it straight towards Pear again, doesn't he? And you can argue about whether or not they should have kicked it either side and all that kind of stuff. But like they're in front of the goal, and there's players all around them. It's in the heat of the moment. Absolutely incredible saves, double save from Pear there. Maybe think of the saves here. I actually reckon most of Dub's great saves came from his right hand side. I'm starting to wonder, does he have a weak left? Is it mostly his right hand side that is his actual strength? Because he blocked down low right to Moran. He did it against Buckley.
Yeah.
There was that wonderful shift of his feet when Ayari took a shot and it got a deflection, and he had to kind of
that was the end of normal time. That my heart stopped then, because when that deflection happened, I thought this is going in, and he's somehow readjusted. That was a great save.
Well, he saves with his legs. It's one of those ones that just classically sails over your legs because your legs are like down and you're expecting to use your hands. He managed to readjust. Smolic again, he was played in behind the defense, and again with his trailing legs, he did that kind of weird sort of Egyptian scissor leg thing that they tend to do, and it hits his trailing leg. It was a little bit of a rolling battle with Smolic, I thought, and you could see in his face when he saved his penalty. We'll get on that in a minute, but he was like, "Yeah, that's right, I'm still the boss." Pear, though, I mean, equally, he had a one-on-one with Gordon, and look, I reckon Gordon probably should have done better there, but I think he took a little bit too long. He probably should have kicked it a little early and sort of like just curled it around the keeper as he was advancing.
Yeah.
But still, nonetheless, he has to get in exactly the right place. He has to time his move perfectly, and he did. That extra time one, the double save. There was a Bruno shot that was saved on the line, and then unfortunately Barnes shanks it close to the post there. I actually think, like, if you think about all the saves, I reckon my favorite save of that whole lot was the one where they scored as well, ironically.
Yeah.
Because it's a pile driver near enough, and he just reaction punches it against the top of the crossbar. And, he's up pretty quick as well, but he can't obviously do anything about the tap-in from Smolic. But that was probably the best save he did of this entire game. Maybe even including the penalties. Do you reckon that was probably the best save? Sorry.
Yeah, that was a wonderful save, and obviously the power on that shot from the one onto the crossbar was immense.
It was so close. It was so close.
And for him to get a hand on it was wonderful. You just hope our defenders reacted a bit quicker than Smolic, but that wasn't to be. But his penalty saves were also quite good. I mean, that last one wasn't exactly a great keeper height, and he had to have a strong hand to push it wide. So
yeah,
I think the last penalty save was also quite good. And look, we can't question Dubravka as a shot stopper. I don't think that's ever been in question. It's everything else that he does or doesn't do that potentially can get us in trouble. But as a shot stopper, and look, he's now a number 2 goalkeeper. As a number 2 goalkeeper, you're not going to probably find many better number 2 goalkeepers in the Premier League. I mean, if you go up and down the list, there's not going to be many wonderful goalkeepers who are sitting on the bench at Premier League clubs. So we're probably lucky to have someone as good as him as a number 2. And
but like, mate, for how long? Because there's already rumours swirling that he's trying to get away. If you look at his face at the end, when he's talking to Eddie Howe, he's got that face of like, "All right, up yours, mate. I'm not here. I'm not. Don't give me platitudes, mate. I know I'm good, but I'm still number 2. Fuck you," kind of thing. You know what I mean? He's got that kind of face on him. And there has been, as I say, rumours that he's already trying to angle an exit again, which is why I don't like him very much in that regard, for what he did against us against Man United. But nonetheless, moving that to one side, I'm trying not to get into that. I'm trying not to get roped into that one. Do you think he's going to be number 2 next season?
No chance. No chance.
All right. Do you think Pope will be number 2 next season, or do you think we'll get someone else in as number 2? Do you think Karius could be number 2?
I think Pope will be number 1, and I think there's a decent chance that Karius will be number 2, or we'll get a young goalkeeper, developmental sort of Freddie Woodman style as a number 2. I can't see us spending big money on a goalkeeper this summer. We've got plenty of other bigger fish to fry in the rest of our squad. I think Pope's proven he's a fantastic goalkeeper in the Premier League, and especially for the next season or two, I think he's well and truly good enough for number one. And Dubravka, look, he wants to be number one somewhere else. That's fair enough. He can go somewhere else, and we'll wish him. I mean, you may not wish him well, but we'll wish him well and say thanks for the memories.
See you later. Don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. All right, let's have a look at the. God, I'm very petty, I must admit. Let's have a look at some of the starting lineups here. Here is Blackburn's pairs. I want to say pairs, but it's peers, I think. Britain, I could do that one. Gan Hiem, the number 5 there. McFadzean. Here we go. Walton, Christine, Buckley, Moran, Smollich, Dolan, and Gallagher. I tell you what, mind. Cheers to Blackburn. Those names aren't that bad, actually.
Looked worse on paper.
Newcastle, Dubs in goal, as we've already covered. Trips, Lascelles, and Shaw and Byrne. Bruno, Longy, and Willock in the middle. Murphy, Golden, and Isaac. The top 3 there. I suppose, if we just stick on Newcastle for the time being, one big change there is obviously no Botman at the back. You think, as we've discussed in one of the last few podcasts, we've got a really slow defense. So you take our Botman, who's very slow, and you stick in Lascelles, who is, last time I checked, very slow. You've kind of just replaced slow with slow, haven't you? That defense still had the same problems of lack of pace there, I think. Willock in the middle instead of Miley starting there. That's interesting. It's good to see him getting a bit of game time. And Isaac, again, obviously trying to get some minutes in his legs. Isaac, sorry. How do you see the Newcastle team, first of all?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised that Willock started. I didn't think Eddie. He hinted, I think, last week that he feels that Miley needs a rest, and he's conscious that he's overplaying him as a 17-year-old. And if all things were equal, and we even had 1 or 2 other centre midfielders, he'd probably be getting half the game time, if that were all.
Easy.
So we've probably overused the kid, and that could have effects later on in this season or later on in his career if we overwork him in his young age. So I had no issue with Miley going out, and Willock obviously needs game time. So he was the obvious replacement. Obviously, we've got no one else. Anderson's back now, but he's probably not ready just to start. The one I was surprised to start today was Murphy. I thought if Miggy was going to come out of the team, I thought Barnes would get another start and try and get that Barnes, Gordon, Isaac front 3 a bit of cohesion going. So I was surprised, to be honest, that Murphy got the start, and he wasn't great this morning, to be honest, and he looked
shocking.
A little bit of a fish out of water. And sometimes these games, pre Eddie Howe getting his hands on Jacob Murphy, these games where we play against lower opposition, Murphy sort of drops his level down even further than what it already is, and he looks like someone who's nowhere near a Premier League standard footballer, which we know he's shown he can be a very decent Premier League footballer. So he was the one player I thought was a mistake to start, and I was hoping Tino was going to start, but I mean, we all knew that Byrne was going to come back in as soon as Eddie could do that. So look, Eddie banked on the experience at the back, and it almost didn't work, but it just about got us over the line.
Almost didn't work. That's one way of putting it. I think, obviously Byrne gets swapped for Tino in the game. Murphy was a little bit off it, wasn't he? He didn't quite have anything going on. Isaac, I don't remember much of Isaac doing anything in this game either. And that's the second game in a row where he hasn't really had a chance to do much. I think Miggy probably just needed a rest. He's playing a lot of games right now. Barnes, he's quite effective as an impact sub as well. So I wonder if that was the reason why bring him on with these fresh legs where he can dart down the left, cut in and swipe it with the right. Miley was funny though, because he brought Miley on.
Yeah.
And then as it looks like it's going to go to penalties, he hooks him and brings on Anderson instead. And obviously Anderson scores his penalty. So, it's not that often you see a sub getting subbed.
No.
But it obviously apparently worked out in the end. I mean, Miggy was responsible for the first goal as well. So the subs, I think the subs kind of worked. I mean, I think the game plan was maybe to play some people and then bring in some of the other guys that you've given a little bit of rest to and hopefully influence the game. And I think, to be fair to Eddie, it kind of worked out that way, let's have a look at Blackburn. Now I'll admit I am not a Blackburn Rovers fan, so I do not know most of these names. What I will say though is that Pear's absolutely terrific at the back. Gannon Hiem, he was pretty good in defence. The captain there, of course, until he missed his penalty, which shouldn't dwell on too much. He had a really good game. Smodic, Smodic, right? Who we had a little conversation in the chat there. Who do you reckon he reminds you of from Newcastle of old? Does he give you that impression? Because to me, I was thinking a bit of a Bellamy kind of type.
Yeah,
style
I was about to
player
say Craig Bellamy. Yeah.
Yeah, but Craig was thinking more of a Gale who does great in the lower league and then absolutely shits himself in the Prem. We don't know if Smodic is going to do that or not in the Prem, but he's scored 24 goals now this season. He is banging them in. That's very much a Gale-esque kind of levels of goalage. But to me, with his rapid runs and his intelligence, his late runs, I mean, that late run to actually score his goal was very clever. And it wasn't an easy finish either, by the way. He was getting tracked the whole way, and he sort of had to leap and kind of just one touch it into the goal. And Fab Shaw couldn't do anything about it. So, brilliant finish, really, when you think about it. Who does he remind you of the most? Do you reckon he's a Bellamy type? Do you think he could do it in the Prem?
Time will tell, but he definitely he's got shades of Bellamy. He buzzes around and he's very intelligent with his movement. And my memory of Bellamy is always being that little pest, making that running behind the defenders and always being in the right spot. And I'm not sure if he's got the loose screw that Bellamy had at times where he'd get sent off and do something stupid. But I think that Smodic's movement today caused us nightmares. I mean, both our centre backs, we know they're not quick, but they just could not handle his movement. And whether he'd make his run late or early or in the channels, we just couldn't get a hold of him. And if it wasn't for Dubravka, he probably would have scored 2 or 3 goals and been the hero man of the match. And they go through to the quarterfinals. So, yeah, he was very impressive. And he's obviously in form. He's confident, scored a lot of goals this year for Blackburn. So, yeah, he's definitely one to watch for Blackburn. And he could be one that may be able to make a step up. If he continues to bang them in and score 30 goals a season, I'm sure there's a Premier League team who'll take a chance on him.
Yeah, you'd think like a Palace, maybe it's a Forest.
Yeah, a lower, bottom half of the table team. Yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine he'll do absolutely fantastically well as well. To be honest with you, I think he looks a very intelligent player. Yeah, good luck to him. So let's just move on to the goals, mate. There were actually goals in this game, despite us going to penalties. There was 2 goals in normal time. First one, it took 71 bloody minutes of agony and saves and basketball back and forwards to finally get the goal. It was Newcastle, and it was kind of when we were in a little bit of the ascendancy. Miggy hadn't been on the pitch that long. It was a sub that had just been made a few minutes earlier. He's found by a beautiful ball. He runs behind the defense. If you watch the replay, he takes a very clever look up to see what's on. Like normally you think, he's just going to lash this. It's going to be freaking disastrous. But he looks up. He sees Gordon in space. He slides it across and beautiful pass.
Yeah.
And Gordon just sort of strokes it past Pear. It was actually pretty close to Pear as well. I mean, it was one of those agonizingly close to the glove kind of shots, but just beyond the reach of him. And look, mate, we might as well move on to the next goal as well. We can talk about both of them together because bloody hell, 8 minutes later, you think to yourself, all right, 70 more minutes. Look, we're against lower league. We're supposed to be the good team here.
Yeah.
We've just finally broken your backs. We've just got that bloody goal. 8 minutes later, Smodic, who else? I mean, all game he's been an absolute nuisance. He as we've already touched on, he knocks it home from close quarters under pressure to get his 24th of the season. Fantastic goal scoring this season for him. It was a rebound though, and again, as we've already mentioned, fabulous save from Dubravka, close range with all kinds of power. He manages to shunt it, I guess, to the crossbar. He can't do anything about the way that goes. Normally, I'm hypercritical of him passing it to the opposition, but I'm not going to sit here and pretend that there was anything he could do about that. It was literally just, it could have went over the top of the bar. It didn't. It fell to open space. Smodic was far more alert than I think it
Yeah.
was Shaw who was tracking him. I think it was Shaw. Could be wrong on that, but I think it was Shaw. He was far more alert. He was aware to what might come about of it, and he manages to put it away. Good goal, really good goal. What I want to talk about, however, is what the fuck was Lascelles doing to allow that whole move to develop. I apologize for for swearing here, but Jesus Christ, mate, you've been playing this game for how long and you don't know where the ball's going to bounce? What the hell happened there, mate?
That's just comedy. It's comedy. It's schoolboy defending. I mean, I've been obviously a harsh critic of Jamal, and he's had a very good season when he's played, especially at the start of the season. He was very good when Botman was out, but I mean, these sort of mistakes, these brain fades have been a sort of a theme of his in years past, and all that was just complete lack of concentration and brain fade, and it made him look like an absolute schoolboy, really. And his fact of not clearing the ball out for a throw in, and there's no danger in that whole attack,
miles away,
puts us under pressure. And fair play to Blackburn, they punished us. They crossed it in. They took a great shot where Dub saved it, and they scored off the rebound. But none of that would have happened if Lascelles is switched on and he says, yeah, the ball's bouncing towards me. I'm just going to head the ball out, and we're just going to move back, and we're going to regroup. But for whatever reason, he lost his concentration, and we conceded a goal. But this is the issue I've got at the moment with Newcastle. We're so leaky at the back, and we look so unassured at the back that these mistakes and this lack of concentration, this is happening not just once a game, this is happening multiple times a game. So we're going into every game now thinking we have to score at least 2 goals, if not 3, to win, because we're giving up the most chances in the league. We're conceding the most goals in the last 2 or 3 months, and our defenders are playing so nervously that it's sort of a free-for-all. I mean, we made Blackburn were fantastic, all due respect to them, but we made Blackburn today, who are a team who are 16th in the championship, who've drawn 4 of their last 5 games in the championship. We made them look like a top half Premier League team with the amount of goal threats they were having and the amount of chances they were having on that box. So this was another long line of a mistake by us, and it just this time we got punished.
Yeah, no, I think it's a fair point. As much as I'm loading over the performance of Blackburn, and it's laudable, it was a very, very solid performance from them, and it should give them a lot of confidence. It wouldn't be the first time on this podcast or Twitter, Reddit, anywhere, Facebook, anywhere that there's a Newcastle fan that they would have observed that all they got to do to give us the shits is stick a bit of pace in front of the back four, mate. We are stuffed.
Yep.
Stuffed with a bit of pace, because we are, and like I say, I've said this before, I've been saying this since last season, we are chronically slow at the back. We managed to get away with it last season. I mean, towards the end we were struggling, but this season it's been exposed brutally via the various injuries that we've had, and we've got to do something about it, man. We've got to do something about it. We cannot go through another season with a bunch of cripples at the back, mate.
It's. I mean, football managers get paid a lot of money, but to prepare for Newcastle at the moment must be the easiest thing in the world, because
stick pace on them. Stick pace on them.
Pace on the wings. You're in. Pace up front. Play the ball in behind. Put a bit of pressure on our centre backs, and it's all over. It's as simple as that.
Crowded midfield, because we've only got one bloke in there who knows what he's really doing.
Yeah.
And there's no protection. I mean, it is very much an open book as far as Newcastle is concerned when you want to beat them. God almighty, how we're going to get through the end of the season and stay in the first half, top off the table, I don't know. I mean, we are relegation form right now. Thank God we've amassed enough points in the league to at least ride this out so far. But Jesus Christ, mate, we're going to rely on those 2 teams getting points deducted at this bloody rate.
Well, anyway, we've got just on that point, we've got 12 points out of our last 11 games, so it is really, really poor form, and we're playing like a bottom 5-6 team at the moment, and we're defending like the worst team in the country, let alone the worst team in the Premier League. So yeah, we've got a lot of issues to sort out.
Yeah, well, look, as much as negative as we are, we did actually win this bloody game. So who knows? Maybe we can take a little bit of confidence out of this. We'll we've got Wolves next. They've got a fair bit of pace in their team.
Yeah.
Shit, they know where the goal is, mate. Are we at home for that one?
We are.
Thank Christ. So at least we might be able to use that. But I mean, Forest.
Pedro Neto. If Pedro Neto is running up against Dan Burn more than a half a dozen times, we're in strife.
Well, the good news is we're getting some players back. So let's just look on the positive side and hope that makes a difference. Look, this went to extra time, so it was 1-1. It went to extra time. It could have easily been won by anybody. Extra time, we've already said, there's a few beautiful saves, some missed opportunities. Newcastle with that double chance really should have just put this one to bed. Eddie Howe at the end was like lamenting the fact that this went to penalties in the first place. His reaction, his overall reaction was one of relief.
Yeah,
I think we can all pretty much agree with that. I'm so tired right now because of the mill that they put us through at the start of this day. But we did win. Let's talk about the penalties.
Yeah.
So we managed to get it in front of our away fans, who, by the way, fantastic, make a noise all the way through the day. It's always an advantage to have your fans you're kicking towards, because obviously when it's the opposition, they can wave the flags and try and put them off and stuff. 7,500 travelled down to Blackburn. Probably half of them were thinking, I'm going to hop on the train and go back home after this. And it went to extra time and then penalties. So those poor buggers honestly have no idea where they've stayed. Somewhere in the Birmingham area. Hopefully everyone's all right. Were you surprised to see Shaw step up for the first penalty? Because I was like, who's this guy stepping up for why have we got a defender stepping up for the first penalty here?
He's very very good technically. He rates himself on free kicks. He's got a very good technique for a centre back. So considering the players we had on the pitch and the fact that Trips was subbed off, Richie was subbed off.
I know, mate. You've got Bruno, you've got Gordon, you've got players who are more likely to score in front of goal than bloody Shaw, mate.
Yeah, but Gordon took the fifth one. So your best penalty taker, generally speaking, takes number 5. So Gordon had the 5th, and I'm pretty sure we didn't want Bruno to step up with his little jump step that he does. It gives everyone a heart attack for that.
I'll get on that.
0.1 second when he jump steps, and you're thinking, oh God, this is either going to go in the back of the net or he's going to look like a pork chop, and we're going to lose. But so no, I was confident with Cher because he's got that bit of arrogance, bit of pizzazz about him, and I had no issue with him taking a pen.
I'll tell you what, mind you, fair income. What a penalty that was as well, by the way.
Yeah,
just like good. There you go, just stroked it in. Walks off,
cool and calm.
No bother. A few more grey hairs on him, maybe, but like Jesus Christ, what a finish that was. And then you're thinking, all right, so look, we've just scored the first. Let's see what Blackburn can do. Upstead's
Smodic.
Who was the first guy? Smodic. And you're thinking, oh shit, like this guy has already scored one. Yeah. He's basically been trying to score like 1,000 goals in this game. But I did note that he got a bit of cramp before the penalties. He was down, he was cramping up quite a lot, and that's not surprising given how much effort he put in. And he steps up, and I don't know, man. Like if you know he's had cramp, if you look at the way he does this run up, it looked a little bit kind of laboured. And Dubravka down to his right again, saves it. And then you're thinking, this is perfect. This is not Newcastle at all. We are shite at penalties.
Yes,
particularly
rubbish.
Shite at FA Cup penalties. Advantage to Newcastle. We're in front of our team here. We're in front of our fans here.
Yep.
We are 1-0 up here. All we've got to do now is nail the next one, and the pressure is on them for the rest of the penalties.
Yep.
And who's next up?
Harvey.
It is Harvey Barnes. And it's not a great penalty, is it, mate?
Shit ass. It was rubbish. It was rubbish. It wasn't in the corner. It wasn't at a good height. His run up
too low.
He was too close to the keeper. His run up sort of telegraphed exactly where he was going to go as well. So the goalkeeper didn't even have to guess. He just had to wait and see Barnes run up, and he knew where it was going to go. And yeah, it was not a good penalty. And you're thinking, just as we had the momentum in the penalty shootout, we give it straight back, and we're thinking it's another one of those penalty shootouts.
oh, here we go, man. We've just done the hard part. Like you just
We've
blown
saved
it
the first one. Yep, we've got the lead.
immediately.
Yep, straight
just
away. Yep.
right up the arsehole. But look, I mean, as it turns out, everyone after that kind of scores their goals. And you're just kind of wondering where the mistake or the save's going to come from. I mean, as you say, that stuttering run from Bruno, God's sake. I'm a bit like I am obviously fairly old, but I like the old school Alan Shearer school of penalties, where he always said, head down, run up at it, kick it as hard as you fucking can. Just nail the bastard ball, right? Just nail it. And Bruno, he's doing his hopscotch, fucking clapping his hands all the way up. Very Brazilian, I have to say.
Yeah.
And you're just waiting for the guy to miss it or like for a save, and you'll be like, straight on
idiots.
socials,
Yeah.
you sack of shit. What are you doing? And I think he just nailed it right down the middle, didn't he?
Down the middle, yeah. He lifted it.
Yeah, it was like enough for the first time in this penalty shootout. Pierre gets beaten by a ball just right down the middle.
Yeah.
That one was fucking hell. And then you've got Ando, who's only just come back from injury. He's only been on the pitch for a short amount of time, even. And he's stepping in and thinking, you know what? I haven't seen much of him from this game. He
didn't like it. I wasn't confident.
But I understood but I understood why they took Miley off, because you're thinking, you know, Ando's more of a striker than Miley is as a forward, and you're thinking,
hasn't picked the ball for 4 months. Hasn't picked the ball for 4 months.
And I tell you what, it was close because bloody Piers gets a touch to it. Gets a touch to it, doesn't he?
Yeah. I had the headphones in the office, as I said, and I was watching it. But that one I had to turn away because I had this really bad feeling that he was going to miss, because I'm thinking he hasn't taken a penalty that I've ever seen, and he hasn't kicked the ball for us for about 4 months. And I'm just saying this is just all set up for him. He's come on late in the extra time. It's all set up for him to miss. And when he hit it and the goalkeeper went the right way, I just had this sinking feeling that he's going to save it. Thank goodness it was behind the Newcastle fans, because you could see the fans go up, and that sort of gave you a bit of relief. But it was not a comfortable moment. It was not, mate. And of course, then Gordon down the middle, but he kind of puts a little bit of curl on it. Yeah, it confused him.
I think in the end, the keeper basically jumped out the way of the ball, which is a bit of a shame. And then, of course, Martin Dubravka, he saves it with the last kick from the Blackburn captain there. I think in between that there was a wonderful penalty from Laurie for Blackburn, who So basically, up to this point, I think even after this point, every penalty had been down Dubravka's right. I don't know if they've been told this, like that's his weak side, but all game he'd been saving things down to his right. Like everything was down to his right. He was saving everything. And Lowry, he very calmly, very coolly, very professionally dinks it to the other side, sells Dubravka a kibber. That's the only time that Dubravka was really kind of fully beaten. Every other time,
beaten, he was close,
Every other time he's in the right direction. He's very close to everything that's been done. Up steps the Blackburn keeper. The back end, the fans were like, Martin Dubravka. They're all singing the song. And I was actually not watching this, I'll be honest. I was walking the Ben to daycare because it was, I think it was like 8:30 or 8:40.
It was 8:40. Yeah. It was 9:40 my time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like cracking on to like work time, like business time, you know. But I was walking them, and I had the game on my headphones. I wasn't watching it; I was listening to it. And I think just as a reflection of how difficult this game was, and how very well Blackburn played, and how much they made us work for this whole victory. I was in the middle of the street. I was pushing the bed, and I just screamed. I was just like proper psycho scream in the middle of the street. Like people must have been passing in the cars, like going, "Who's this weirdo?" Like, you know, he's just screaming at the ground.
8:40 in the morning.
Yeah. But the tension was ridiculous. Like I'm just waiting for us to fuck it up. I'm literally just waiting for us to balls this right up the chute, because that is classically what we do. And he nails it, and Dubravka saves it again to his right. Like I say, it was a pretty good height. In fairness, it wasn't a great penalty. And I understand that you almost you were getting. I think we touched on this already, but you were getting some funny looks, weren't you, mate? Like, you're ever going to get escorted out of work because of all your weird sporting shenanigans? Because this is not the first time.
I'm not A, because I'm one of the seniors, and
Oh, here
B,
we go.
Because most people know my sickness, and I've explained to the staff before in our morning meetings or Monday morning meetings. I'm like, look, this is a situation. I've had either a good weekend, a bad weekend. Give me some time. Even when we have the midweek games, I think there was that time the PSG game where we copped that late penalty. I had to say to the staff, look, this situation just happened. Just give me an hour. Just please don't come into my office for 1 hour. I just need that time just to cool down. So
Yeah.
at least this time it was a moment of joy. And I think one of the girls she sort of jumped up and thinking, oh, is this guy okay? And I said, it's all good. We've got the pens. We're all good. We're all good. But it's and then I
You
headbutted the
watching the
window.
soccer?
And then I headbutted the window in celebration, and that also got some looks. So
Yeah,
it was
a typical
typical
calm Jimmy
response.
response. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's just not what you need though, Lee, on a Wednesday morning. I mean, it's midweek. You're trying to get into your work. You're thinking, okay, FA Cup tie, Blackburn should get through. Shouldn't be
Sail it.
stressful. Yeah, we'll sail it. And then next minute, you're having to watch the game at 9:30 a.m. because it's freaking penalty shootout. And you know how penalty shootouts end at Newcastle. And I've had personal very bad experience penalty shootouts with Mo and Victory, and they're definitely not fun to watch and experience. And
I love them.
every penalty you're just praying that it's not going to go wrong. But thank goodness for us, it for once turned out in our favour.
I honestly love penalties. I do. Every time we talk about changing the game and changing penalties and getting rid of them and stuff, I fight against it. I love penalties. They are one of the greatest sporting moments around the world for me. The sheer drama of it is, and the sudden deathness of it, with just
the pressure
a
as well.
sprinkle of chance. There's just nothing like it in world sport, as far as I'm aware.
The World Cup final last year, the biggest event in the world, Argentina versus France, goes to a penalty shootout to crown the world champion of football.
Yeah. But that's different because I want them both of them to lose because I hate them both.
No, but I'm saying penalty. Yeah, okay, thank you. But penalty shootout. This is why the intensity and I mean, it's Blackburn versus Newcastle round 5. It's not Argentina versus.
But that's it though.
France.
But I was far more tense about this game because it's my team than I was about any stupid World Cup. But even if it was England, I probably would have been on par because of the history of them, because of the drama, of the spectacle of them, of the sheer randomness of it. But they're so
can't
random.
Love penalty shootouts. You can't love penalty shootouts.
I absolutely love them when we win.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Fucking hate them when we lose. No, I do. I love them. They should never change that in the game. It's one of the.
I agree.
The greatest
I agree. It is
one of the greatest.
Obviously, there's no fair way to stop a football game in a tournament. There's no fair way, and at least a penalty shootout is just purely down to luck, really. But there's no other fairer way to do it, and otherwise you'd be playing all night. So I agree. The drama's the drum. If your team's not in it, the drama is fantastic. If your team is in it, it's no good for the heart.
No. Look, you might need a heart transplant, but it's great drama. It's absolutely fantastic spectacle. I think when Dubravka saved that, I don't even think he realized he'd won the game either, because he was like,
no, he didn't celebrate, did he? Yeah.
No, he was like, yeah, all right. And then he looked at the ref, and the referee blew his whistle, and he was like, oh yeah, smiled. Whoops, everyone starts legging at him. He's like, oh yeah, I've done the thing. All right, let's have a look at some halfy stats. I want to just cover some halfy stats here. We'll give full-time stats. So half time, it was a pretty poor half. They had Blackburn 4 to our 2 attempts. They had 3 on target to our 1. Pretty shit. We had 4 corners to their 2. And the only other really worthy stat is that we had 69% possession to their 31. So you think, you know what? Got the possession. Full time, it was 19 attempts to Newcastle to their 16. So obviously we turned it around a bit on the attempts. But they still had 9 on target to our 8. So they were still bossing us in the actual shots on target column. We had 14 goddamn corners. 14 corners. Did nothing with them. And the other stat there again is the possession. We had 62 to their 38. How this got to 1-1 at the end of extra time is, when you look at the stats, is absolutely baffling, man. Like,
yeah,
you think
both goalkeepers were fantastic.
They were,
And
but you'd think we should be edging that one with those sort of stats, wouldn't you?
yeah,
Let's have a look at some of the goalkeeper stats. Actually, I forgot I had this slide. Martin Dubravka saves 8 to Piers 5. Both conceded 1 goal, obviously. High claims 1 to Dubravka, and good high claims. What I don't know, I was making up these stats here. One good high claim to
good
Dubravka
high
to
claim.
0 pairs. Yeah, he had Dubravka had 40 touches to Piers pairs 60. Open play passes 17 to Dubravka, 25 to Piers, and successful open play passes 16 to Dubravka to 11 pairs. I don't think I've ever read out keeper stats.
Goalkeeper stats.
Kind of weird, hey?
They are.
Good total high claims and good high claims. Like,
Yes.
Who's deciding what's a good high claim there? But
One
look,
from one. That means he's 1 from 1. He's 100%.
100% quality high claims, yeah.
High claims.
But look, again, just reinforces how busy these keepers were. Some sensational performances from the 2 guys behind the sticks, or in between the sticks rather. Full props to them guys. What else we got? That was actually the first time Newcastle's won in the FA Cup in the FA Cup via penalties ever. It's the 3rd time we've tried it. First time was Tommy Wright. Second time was Warpav. So that was all in the 90s. Dubravka finally getting us over the line there with a win in the penalties. Look, we're almost at the end here, mate. Let's do the man of the match. If you don't pick Dubravka, I've got to come all the way down to Melbourne and slap you across the face. Who is your man of the match? You can do a 3-2-1 if you like, but I reckon all 3-2-1s will probably go to Dubravka.
Yeah, it's 3-2-1 Dubravka, because without him, we're talking about an embarrassing FA Cup exit, and the questions and the tone of our voices probably change tenfold about the club, the coach, the players, everything turns. So one great goalkeeping performance obviously doesn't mask all the other issues we have, but it delays those questions and at least gives us another opportunity in the FA Cup coming up in a couple of weeks.
That it does. I will give 3 to Dubravka, and I'm going to give a very rare 3 to an opposition player for that matter. But I'm going to give 3 to Piers. I wish I knew how to pronounce his name.
Piers.
Both those. It is Piers, is it?
Yep.
All right, Piers. I'm going to give both of those keepers 3 points each. They were both absolutely terrific, and it really fed into what was, in the end, a very enjoyable competition. But as you say, if we hadn't won this, like this whole podcast would have been like 5 minutes and we'd be in bed by now. It's like we lost.
Been rough.
Shit, we're off. Yeah, because frankly, this is all we've got to play for, really. I mean, 7th place is sort of slipped between our fingers now. We're sliding down towards the mediocrity of mid-table. There is obviously still a lot of games, but the thing that we're really playing for right now is the FA Cup. It isn't being taken lightly, as Eddie Howe himself reinforced several times in his post-match. So, let's see how far we can go in this competition. And speaking of which, let's have a look at the final slide I've got here, which is for the next draw. Newcastle has drawn number 1 in the balls left in the quarterfinal draw. So Newcastle, top of the league, champion, get in. Not since the start of the season have we been top of any league whatsoever. So I'm taking that. Number 2 ball is Chelsea or Leeds. 3 is Leicester. 4 is Liverpool or Southampton. So probably Liverpool. 5 is Forest or Man United. 6 is Wolves or Brighton. 7 is Coventry. And 8 is Man City. The draw is going to be taking place 7 p.m. Wednesday GMT, which should be about 5 o'clock in the morning for us on the Queensland coast here in Australia. 5 o'clock in the morning tomorrow, that is. And that's just before Chelsea play Leeds. So looking at those remaining teams, Demi, mate, just to wrap this up, I guess we don't want to meet Liverpool or City, probably. Man City, that is. Who would your ideal pick be from the remaining teams?
Well, it'd have to be Coventry City. They're the lowest ranked team out of everyone there. And Coventry City at home would be the ideal draw for us. But knowing our cup draw, our Champions League draw like this...
We don't get home games, mate.
No, we don't get home games, and B, we don't get anyone who's not a so-called Big Six club. So this screams, I don't want to say what it's going to be, but it screams what everyone is fearing. So I'm hoping from all hope we don't get some dodgy draw shenanigans like we did the other time when somehow we drew Manchester City in the cup.
Warm balls. Got some warm balls in there, mate.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with the draws, but look, we're due some luck, and we are only one game from Wembley, and people probably don't realise that, but we are one game from Wembley, and both semi-finals are at Wembley, and obviously the final is as well. So to get back,
are they doing replays in the semi?
No, just one-off games.
Ooh,
so to get back to Wembley, even if it's a semi-final, it would be huge for us. And I mean, the ideal draw for us would be for Liverpool to draw Manchester City, so one of them get knocked out, and then we draw somebody else. So look, we'll see what the draw takes tomorrow. But yeah, fingers crossed we don't get reamed with another away draw.
Let's be honest, we are, and it's going to be bloody Anfield. I can just feel it in my bone, mate. We're going to get absolutely shafted. As per usual. Well, all right, look, we will leave it there, mate. I am so tired from this game. I am absolutely exhausted. Again, huge congratulations to Rovers. I mean, it's a bit strange to say congratulations. I should say commiserations, but they played such a wonderful game, and I hope that gives them the boost they need in the league going forward. Likewise, I hope it gives us a bloody boost in the league as well. God knows we need it right now. We need something to give us a kick up the arse. The FA Cup next round will be Saturday the 16th, which is Saturday the 16th of March, which means Palace has already been confirmed as postponed. So that game will be rescheduled some other time. The next game in the league is against Wolves. Is that Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday, 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock, traditional 3 o'clock. That'll be a 1 a.m. kickoff for me in Queensland on Sunday morning. What absolute joy that is. We were meant to do a preview, but we've been going on for too long here. But I do not feel confident about playing Wolves right now. I don't feel confident playing anybody right now, mate.
We can't feel, I think you nailed it there. We can't feel confident playing anyone. I mean, we've played now a bottom half of the table championship team, and they've taken us to penalties with probably their second team. And we've relied on a Martin Dubravka masterclass to get through against Blackburn. So, yeah, no team for us at the moment is easy. So let's hope that gives us at least some confidence to get some sort of better performance going.
That's just really finally focused the issues we've got going forward in the league. Like that's just like, yeah, I actually predicted we're going to win 4-1 in this game, and Jesus, it was nothing like it. It could have been 6-6, could have been 6 now, it could have been anything. All right, Demi, look, thank you for your time, mate. Thank you for joining me to review this game. Thank you, everybody who's watched and listened. Give us a like and subscribe if you don't mind. That'd be very nice. And we should be back with the review of the Wolves game sometime early next week, maybe Sunday, I think it is. So keep an eye on your notifications for that. But until then, cheers, Demi, and we will see you all for the next one.
See you, mate.